6 on Joshua Starnes' top 10 movies of 2012 is The Impossible, which is starring Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts, which is about a mayhem, basically. I guess it's a true life story, right, Joshua?
It is based on a true story. It's based on a Spanish family that was vacationing in Thailand or in Indonesia. I mean, when the tsunami struck in 2004. In this case, the family's been replaced by the much more Anglo-friendly British family of Ewan McGregor, Naomi Watts, and then the 3 young actors playing their children. And it's fantastic. I think the one thing that people might not realize if they haven't seen it is that it's really about the oldest son, played by a young actor named Tom Holland, who is the main character. Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor are great, but they're supporting characters. They're only in X amount of the movie, and then they go away for long periods. But it's about how the different members of the family react to being separated, and the tsunami itself only covers a small fraction of the film, although it's done exceedingly well, and it's very bleak and very painful to watch. But then it ends, and then it gets into the part that's even more painful to watch on an emotional level, which is the part of disasters, especially disaster films, we don't normally see, which is the cleanup afterwards, which is where things start to get very, very difficult as everyone starts to realize what they've lost after the immediate problem of survival has gone away, and they start trying to find each other and find their family members. It's almost the anti-disaster film, because it takes every rule of the disaster film and throws it out the window and charts its own course.
I was in the movie, I kept trying to remember what movie it was, but there was a trailer for this movie, and it was kind of an engaging trailer, but then the one person behind us and it was basically saying, oh, another story about a black country and about rich white people. I can't wait to see it. And he said it like sarcastically, which it was like kind of interesting, because it kind of made like the people who heard him like laugh about it, but I'm sure it's deeper than that. That kind of what his little comment was, I guess, right?
Well, it's important to keep in mind tourism is one of the main industries for that area. So a lot of the people that were affected were tourists. Tourists from different parts of the world. They do focus on the fact that and it's not a black country, but I know what he's saying.
Yeah.
That it was left up to, and it was the results of the native population that actually brought these people back together who were there visiting. And so yes, the tsunami affected them in a big way, and then the native peoples, who you don't see them when the tsunami hits, because it's focused very specifically on this family. But you see Naomi Watts and her son, when they're saved at the end of the first act, they're saved by a local fisherman who goes through extensive lengths to get them to a hospital and get them taken care of, and then they're in the hands of the various hospital staff of this. And you can see this country, this very small country with small resources to begin with, this very beleaguered country, is actually the one doing the saving. You see that through the eyes, yes, of a European couple.
Yeah.
And there are market reasons for that. People won't in the U.S. don't go see movies about people not from the U.S. or not from England. It's a fact of life. It's a fact of which movies make money and which don't. And movies that cost as much as The Impossible did, and it wasn't a cheap movie to make, they got to make money. It's still a business.
At the same time, this seemed to be a theme on your list where the ending kind of gives away. The title of the movie kind of gives away the ending in a lot of ways. So you know that they're going to get back together, or at least you assume that. Because
I don't know if they were not. I wasn't assuming that at all. I thought it was going to be a much more bitter movie.
The Impossible? Like, come on. Like
The Impossible. Well, The Impossible, it obviously does refer to several things, because it talks about the impossible happening as well.
Sure, okay.
This incredible tsunami and what they found themselves in. Actually, it was one of the reasons why it's farther down on my list, is that I wasn't wild about the ending. They definitely turned, this very human drama into a thriller towards the end, as they started to tease whether the family was going to get together or not. But then the way things just worked out so well for all that they have gone through, things still ended up working out for them. And it felt fake. It felt non-earned. I don't know. It felt like it let me down a little bit. It's one of the things about the film I don't really like.
Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor seem to have a very similar career, minus McGregor's Star Wars movies, where they seem to pick these kind of like middle-of-the-road kind of projects, or even independent projects, and they always seem to succeed as well.
Most of the time, and yet at the same time, people don't always notice them. Naomi Watts has certainly tried her hand at the fair number of larger budget movies.
Like King Kong, right?
And some of them really work out, and some of them don't. I think some of it might be the kinds of movies they like to make, but some of it's also, people. There's what the old adage: you make one for them and one for you, and one for them and one for you. And over the last few years, definitely the two of them have done more, focusing on these kind of smaller movies. The downside of that is, unfortunately, is that it doesn't always break through the public consciousness. I thought McGregor was fantastic last year in The Ghost Rider, and nobody really watched it, unfortunately. He's great in this. He's not getting quite as much notice as Naomi Watts is, which is unfortunate, I guess, because he's not strapped to a gurney slowly dying.
Yeah, or he's not playing an iconic person, yeah.
Exactly. But he's doing a great performance, and a lot of people have been pushing him for a Best Supporting Actor nomination, which seems like it's been waiting in the wings for years and years, and it's just never happened. But he really deserves it for this film.
He was also terrific in The Beginners last year too.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
But he was so overshadowed by Christopher Plummer that he didn't really get, I think, the attention he deserved for that film as well.
Is it safe to say that The Impossible is the best action movie of 2012?
If you can consider it an action movie, it's really not, because the tsunami and the going down the river and all of that basically ends before the first act ends, and all the rest of the movie they're